bold, be brave, be extraordinary, be vulnerable, be real, be curious, be true, be you. Welcome to Trusting Your Gut with world-class energy intuitive Catherine McIntosh, a show designed to awaken you to enjoy the process of evolving, have fun along the way, and learn to listen to those silent in-between moments. You are the expert of your own life, and nobody knows more about the next steps to take in your journey than you. So please, listen to your gut and discover what's waiting for you to explore. Here is your host, Catherine McIntosh.
All right, my magical friends. So welcome to today's episode. I am really excited about this. I'm also a little nervous because I might start crying. I had a vulnerable aha this weekend that sort of changed my outlook on everything in my life. And, as who I am in the world, I'm always looking to become the best version of myself. I'm always looking to grow my dreams, to think bigger, to dream bigger. And in that process, things get revealed. And, I also have my blind spots. I wish that I could sometimes channel me for my life. It's a lot easier for me to channel for other people and channel their blind spots. And this weekend, I had a huge blind spot reveal. And I will tell you, it was extremely uncomfortable. And I wanted to do my normal thing, which is to put on my running shoes and walk out the door or give up or just go, you know what? I'm so much better just in my own little world. And I do this a lot. I do this with friends where I'm like, well, I'm independent. I know the answer. But the truth is, if I knew all the answers, and the truth is, if you knew all the answers to your life, you wouldn't be where you are. You'd be where you want to be. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm exactly where I want to be, you're in an excellent place. If you're listening to this and you're like, ooh, I know where I want to be, but I have these things in my life that I just quite can't figure out, then this might be an episode just for you. So today's episode and the title and the topic is the power of expectation. But before I dive into the topic, I'm going to sort of share what happened for me. And it is a little vulnerable. So just forgive me if I stumble on my words, but I have been asking for certain energies to show up in my life, to show up in my parenting, in my business, with my friendships, in my relationships. And I had this moment this weekend where I couldn't see another possibility. So for me, when I can't see another possibility, and I believe this is true for most people, when they can't see another possibility, the fight or flight instinct sort of surfaces, that survival instinct. And we usually resort to our most familiar way, which is either to fight or to fight, to fight or to flight. Right? We also have other survival mechanisms that get activated. So it's the 4 F's. It's fight, flight, fawn, or freeze. And most people know fight or flight. Most people know freeze, which is like can't move. Fawn is actually a really interesting one. And so my two instincts are to either fight or to fawn. And the fawn one is kind of sneaky. So it shows up, it looks like, right, people pleasing. You're kind of walking on eggshells. You're making sure everything else around you or everyone else around you is okay when you're not actually okay. And so this weekend, that survival mechanism got activated, and I was doing both fight, flight, and fawn. I was doing all three of them. I was like, everything wanted to run, but while I wasn't running, I was doing the fawning, which was trying to make the scenario and the environment and the situation okay when I wasn't okay. Right. And then when it wasn't like getting anywhere, I would fight. And so when we're in that place, we usually only see two options. We don't see all the possibilities available to us in that moment. And so here I am, like totally triggered, really activated, struggling with certain aspects of sort of all areas of my life. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, what if I surrender? What if I like sort of like push down every barrier that wants to come up right now? What if I open my heart? What if I'm just totally present in what's going on with me in this moment? And all of a sudden, this energy came in. And I was like, oh my God, I've been trying for 3 months to get to this energy, but I couldn't because I was looking at it from my old frame of reference. And so when I had this aha, I was like, oh my gosh, this energy that I have been looking to change, what I was doing was I was putting my guard up, and I'm looking at business, I'm looking at friendships, I'm looking at, you know, relationships, like all these things. And I had my guard up. And so when my guard was up, I was playing the victim. None of you do that, right? None of you play the victim where you're like, well, I'm going to blame it on this person. I'm going to blame it on, Facebook algorithms. I'm going to blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. And so I kind of sat with it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is where my expectation was showing up that it wasn't going to work out the way I wanted it to. Because I couldn't see the possibilities. And so in this moment, what I did is I went, oh my gosh, I've been having my guard up, right? While saying I'm all in. Let's just use business as an example. I'm all in my business, but I wasn't. And this is where the power of expectation comes into place. So, what I discovered and what was revealed to me by going, okay, I'm going to put 2 feet in, I'm all in, show me the roadblocks, show me where I'm being stubborn in my own vision, show me where I only see 2 possibilities: fight or flight, fawn or freeze, stay or go, good or bad, right or wrong. And what if I just sit with how I'm feeling and see if I can change something? And what I realized is I have had this underlying expectation that I wasn't aware of until recently, that I was expecting to fail at Facebook ads, that I was expecting to fail in certain areas. Now, certain areas of my business, I have zero doubt in, right? When I'm with clients, zero doubt. Now, sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this still works. I can't believe that energy works. And this is what I want to share with you. The energy you expect of an outcome of a situation, it matters. Your expectation matters. So if you go into a meeting expecting it to be difficult, guess what? You're right. If you go into, a first date expecting it to be awkward, guess what? You're right. If you go into a pitch expecting there to be, sort of lashback or resistance, guess what? You're right. What you expect is what gets recreated. And so I had these sneaky little expectations in certain aspects of my online business that I was trying to overcome with action, but the energy underneath was this expectation that it was going to be difficult, that it was going to be challenging, that I would have to break through roadblocks, that I would have to cut through the noise. Instead of having an expectation of it is going to work out. It's going to be more magical than I ever expect. It's going to blow things out of the water. It's going to be exactly what I require, right? Because I have this really big dream to make a huge impact. And I personally believe that there's one major roadblock that we all function from that we don't even know we're doing. And from the Hollywood actors that I work with, from some of the most successful people in the world, to your everyday entrepreneur, to the stay-at-home mom, to someone trying to build a business, right? Everyone functions from this secret expectation of not being enough. And when you feel secretly like you're not enough, you expect things not to work out for you, right? Aha! It was like a big aha. And so here's the deal. When you expect things not to work out for you, it won't work out for you. And I'll give you another example. So this morning I was having a conversation with my son. He's 11 years old in the 5th grade, an incredible athlete. He's more psychic than I am. He's very sensitive and aware of energies, but he's also going through his life transitions. He's, developing into a teenager. His hormones are acting up and it's causing him to have different behavioral patterns than he had before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I change my parenting to meet where he is now? Because what I was doing before doesn't work. And so I kind of like approached it and I was like, hey, buddy, you seem to be having an issue with this one particular person. Every time you see this person, what's your expectation? He's like, that they're going to rattle me, that they're going to upset me, that I'm going to start crying, that I'm going to be upset and, frustrated and start feeling bad about myself. And I said, well, guess what you're creating? He's like, oh my God, mom, right? Like the cuteness in his world. And I was like, so do you think that you could change your expectation? I said, would powerful Duke show up and would he cower down? Would he expect there to be a fight or a discord? I'm like, when you aren't being yourself, you believe in this person's lies. You believe in him having power over you. I'm like, but what if you expected to go into this situation and go, you know what? I'm going to keep my cool. I'm going to keep my calm. And look, you guys, this is philosophical. Sometimes in the moment, especially when it comes to someone who triggers us, easier said than done. But here's the deal. And I've been working with people from all walks of life, and especially in the vein of relationship. This could be a teammate. This could be a coworker. This could be someone that's on your staff. This could be an intimate relationship. This is in a friendship, regards all relationships. If you have an expectation that something isn't going to go well, guess what? It's going to create an energy that something doesn't go well. And so it is up to you to begin to identify where you're going into a certain scenario or event or, business transaction, expecting there to be challenges versus expecting you to be powerful enough to respond differently, to create a different energy. And so like in this weekend, I had to choose a different energy. So instead of my heart being guarded and me kind of having one foot in and one foot out with certain areas of my life, I went, what if I just put 2 feet in and open my heart to seeing a different possibility? And I will tell you, I had more ideas come through this weekend. I had more relaxation, more peace of mind. My nervous system was calmer. And all of a sudden, I'm having all these business ideas that I've been trying to open the door to for years, and hadn't been able to get there because I had one foot in and one foot out because my expectation was it was going to be difficult. My expectation was it was going to be challenging. I had all the reasons and all the justifications of why it wasn't working, but I was sitting in victim mode and not in my power. And, I was listening to an audio by Abraham Hicks, and it was talking about a mother. When a mother is pregnant with a child, the term is, I'm expecting, right? They are expecting that this child is going to come out of the womb. They are expecting to be a parent at the end of this. They might not know what it's going to look like. They might have fears and insecurities. Excuse me. Excuse me. Whew. They might have fears and insecurities. But at the end of it, they're like, I'm going to be a mother. I might be a brand new mother. This is my first child. I have no idea what it's going to look like. When I was pregnant with my son 11 and a half, 12 years ago, it was like, yeah, this baby's coming. I don't know when, but I know it's coming. And it's the same thing with everything that we want to manifest in our lives. If we start doubting the expectation, expecting it to come out, right? If we start doubting it, it creates a different energy. So if we start to adopt this power of expectation, I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what it's going to look like when it comes out of my creative brain or my creative body, but I know that it is going to work out. And this isn't about clinging to energies or relationships or business ideas when they truly aren't working. Sometimes we have to let things go, right? You have to let things go, right? So it's this powerful presence in you. So now I have created a different expectation with my business, and guess what? My behaviors have changed. I'm putting different energy into my business, right? I'm putting different energy into my parenting. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is, at least for me, a huge aha." Now, this might not be new to you, but I believe it's really powerful. And I wrote down, so yesterday, this is a great one. I was listening to a podcast, the School of Greatness podcast with Lewis Howes. I love Lewis. He is an amazing human being. We've had the pleasure of meeting each other years ago. It's been a really long time. And he interviewed Raman Sharma, someone I also have met and know on a personal basis. And Robin Sharma shared these 4 things that he journals on every day. And I was like, so good. So here it is. It's, what am I grateful for? Most of you know that, right? The second one is, what are my wins? We don't do this enough. We don't ask, like, where am I winning at life? So yesterday with my son, I won. This morning with my son, we had a great conversation. I won, right? And it's not like, oh, I won and he didn't. We both had a win, right? And then the third one, which I think is really powerful, is, what do I want to let go of today? So a lot of times we hang on to resentments, we hang on to old expectations, we hang on to feeling not good enough, we hang on to believing that our fears are real and they can stop our success. We hang on to doubting our power, right? I had an aha last week when I was in Texas, and I was there for clients, and I was walking along this trail, and I had this expectation that people are judging my body, right? I was in shorts and a t-shirt. It was beautiful weather out. I think I went for, like, I don't know, a 7-mile walk and peaceful. And I had all these magical things happen to me on my walk. I was like, this is incredible. Right. But I had this, like, secret thing of, like, oh my God, people are looking at my body. Oh yes, I'm getting older. The tone in my thighs is not as, muscular and fit as I'm used to. Oh my gosh, are they looking at my sagging skin? Oh my gosh, can they tell I'm older than I want to be? Like, I was like, wow, Catherine, do you hear yourself? And all of a sudden, it was like this huge aha. And I went, oh my God, what if people are looking at my energy? They're looking at my energy because I was feeling really alive, minus the secret judgment that kept coming in. So, expectation that people are judging me, instead of expectation that people are curious about my energy. And so the minute I had this aha, I went, oh, wow. Would this change how I walk in the world if I had the expectation or the awareness or the realization that people are looking at my energy? They're not judging my body. Right. And if they are judging my body, they're not judging my body in the way that I'm thinking they're judging my body. Right. Do you guys get this? Really powerful. And so, what do you want to let go of today? Right. Today and yesterday and the day before and the day before that, I'm letting go of this idea that when I am out in the world, particularly when I have shorts on, I don't know why, it's just my thing with my legs, that they're judging me. I want to let go of that. And instead, I'm going to adopt an expectation that people are just staring at my energy, right? People are just staring. Most of you, people are just staring at your energy, and you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? Why we sort of respond that way in terms of what's wrong is because we're functioning with this foundational root belief that we're not enough. And the truth is, every single one of you is more powerful than you've ever been. You're brighter, you're magical, you're different, you're unique, you shine bright, you have different ideas, you see the world differently than anyone else does. And so, in that vein, what I want to do is I want to invite you to look at what would it be like if you started to adopt a different expectation, right? If you started to keep your ideas, right, to yourself. And so I also recognized this weekend that I was at the effect of what other people thought about me and my life choices, right? I've been a single independent mom for quite a long time. And, um, I have this weird thing that I'm like, oh, people are judging. How am I doing this? How am I living my life the way I'm living my life? And what if all of that was irrelevant? What if you didn't share with everybody? What if you didn't need to prove that you're right about your theories of life? What if you didn't need to prove that you're an energetic being and you create money as if by magic? What if you didn't need to, show your work of how you're doing what you're doing in the world? What if you kept it to yourself, right? Because expecting other people to doubt you only dims your light. And if you start paying attention to the underbelly of your thoughts, to the thoughts that are in your head when nobody's looking, to how you feel about yourself before you go to bed. So, the good news is you can change this. And you can change this by changing the way you see yourself. So, what would it be like if you were like, okay, no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to stop having one foot in and one foot out? And what that looks like, having one foot in and one foot out, is believing in your dreams, but expecting people to doubt you. Believing in your dreams, caring what other people think, right? Choosing for yourself an energy that maybe nobody else can see why you're choosing that choice, why you're choosing that energy, right? But not letting it derail you from your path. And so, for any of you out there that are listening, they're like, oh, baby, I relate. Perhaps you have one foot in and one foot out. And I was talking to a group of people. I have an online course where I show up on live calls and we do live facilitation so everyone can get clarity, so we can do downloads, so we can open the door to something greater. And I asked one of the participants, like, have you had one foot in and one foot out with your body? And they were like, yeah, I'm always expecting my body to fail me. And I was like, so guess what you create? And the way that I was listening to another podcast, I'm kind of a podcast junkie. And, my podcast currently has been on hold, but we've been diving deep into this radio show, doing, weekly shows every week where live callers can call in. So if you have a question about your life that you would like answered and you feel like you're having roadblocks to that area of your life, you can call in and ask me any question you want, and I will sort of channel download for you. And you're welcome to filter through what feels true for you and what doesn't, because nobody in the world has lived your life, has been inside your thoughts, has gone through what you've gone through, has the same dreams and visions for your future than anyone else. No one is like you. And therefore, not everyone can give you a solution. In fact, no one can give you the solution, but the solution does lie within you, right? And so, what would happen if you stopped having one foot in and one foot out? So, this person was like, oh my gosh, I've had one foot in, one foot out with my body. So, this podcast I was listening to was Stephen Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO, right? The Stephen Bartlett and Lewis Howes, my two favorite podcasters currently. I kind of geek out on their stuff. I also geek out on Abraham Hicks currently, but I'm always looking at tons of stuff. I listen to Joe Dispenza. And so, anyways, on this Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, he had a divorce attorney, James Sexton. And James Sexton was talking about, think about a dog. Right. And he had had several dogs in his life. He's like, I'm not one foot in and one foot out with my dog. Like, I get a dog. This dog is mine until the dog passes, right? Unfortunately, dogs don't outlive their humans very often. And so when you have love for a dog, right, for an animal, there is nothing like it in the world. And you don't go, oh, maybe I'm one foot in with this dog. I'm not really going to, give it all of my love. I'm not going to show up. But dogs are like, oh my God, my owner, my person is home. Let me lick them and kiss them and bark and wag my tail and ask to be fed. And but yet in most areas of our lives, we have one foot in and one foot out, and we're expecting to be hurt. We're expecting to be frustrated or disappointed. We're expecting that things won't work out for us. And I want to encourage each and every single one of you. What would it be like if you put 2 feet in and you were like, I'm going to change this foundational root belief that I'm not enough. And I am on a mission personally because I think we would live in a very different world if we all changed our core story. And I've yet to meet someone in the world that doesn't have some version of a core story of I'm not enough in their system. And so when we believe we're not enough, we make very different life choices than if we believe we are enough. So if you believed you were enough, you wouldn't give up on your dreams. If you believed you were enough, you would make choices for your life and not care what anyone else thought. If you believed you were enough, you would stop stalling on your dreams. You would start that business. You would start dating. You wouldn't use your body as an excuse. You wouldn't use your insecurities as an excuse. You wouldn't use your lack of money as an excuse. You would go all in knowing that you are enough. Knowing that you were meant to be here for a particular reason at a particular time, because my friends, it is time to wake up to your light, to your genius, to the magic inside of you, and for expecting things to work out for you. So we will continue this conversation right after the break. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Times TV.
Do you trust you? Do you trust your body? What if the key to unlocking the weight, pain, suffering, fear, anxiety, addictions, traumas, and sorrows was already inside of you? Learn to love the skin you are in so you can create the body, business, and life you love. Everyone always says you can't explain what Catherine does, you just have to experience it. From Hollywood actors to New York Times best-selling authors to some of the world's wealthiest and most successful, no two experiences are the same. For private sessions, online courses, live events, and the latest book Jack Canfield calls Game Changer and should be required reading for everyone, go to katherinemcintosh.com. KatherineMcintosh.com.
Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself. Invest in your brand and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
All right, my magical friends, we are back from the break talking about the power of expectation. So we're going to do a little exercise to give you an idea of how this works. And most people think they need to clear out the fear, clear out the judgment, clear out the insecurities, clear out the doubt before they can open the door to new possibilities. And it's actually a lie, right? There almost 8 billion people on the planet, and most of those people function from one form of fear, doubt, judgment, insecurity, shame, right? Worry. And you can't get rid of those energies. But what you can do is respond to them differently, react to them differently. So we all have an instantaneous gut reaction to almost everything in our lives. We can't necessarily change that. But what we can do is change our response to it. And so we're going to do a little exercise that allows you to see the power in the possibility of changing the way that you think so that you can change the way you respond. Okay. So, what I want you to do is just for a moment, right? Might feel a little uncomfortable. You might go, "Oh, I don't want to do this." And I'm like, "Well, do it," because you'll realize you've been functioning from this foundational root belief for a long time. And it's the reason why things haven't worked out for you the way you wanted to. So, if you adopt right now this root belief that you're not enough, okay. And when I do that, I feel like a lump in my throat. I'm quite kinesthetic. Part of my downloads and the way I'm able to channel and the way I'm able to work with people all over the world long distance is because my body has this kinesthetic awareness of other people's bodies. And when I didn't know that that's what my gift was, I was walking around in the world hating my body, right? I would get these gut problems. I would have these heart problems. I would gain weight. I was constantly stuffing my face with food. And I was like, it just was really insecure about my body. And I used it as my problem. But really, my body was my gift. And now that I know that I'm really kinesthetically aware, I no longer have that same point of view that I'm not enough because of my body. Right. So I want you just to take on the energy of right now, you're not enough. Believe me, stay tuned because you will have a eureka moment if you stay connected to this. Okay. So if you're not enough, I want you to look at the relationships and even the current relationship dynamics you have in your relationship. Right? Look at them, your friendships, your intimate other, your spouse, your partner, even your business partners, maybe even your staff. If you have this idea of like you're not enough, what are how are you going to behave in your relationships? Kind of victim mentality, right? It's kind of like, doesn't feel too good. Okay. So we're going to erase that. You got the energy of it just for a second. Okay. Erase that. And now I want you to imagine you are the superhero of your own life. You are living your best life ever. You're fantastic. You're awake. You're aware. You're enthusiastic. You're excited about life, and you are enough. Now look at the energy of how you're going to behave and respond in your relationships. Totally different. Totally different. Okay. So let's do this a few more times in different topics so you can see that the blaming a staff member or blaming the market or blaming the algorithms or blaming the changes in social media or blaming COVID or whatever it is that you want to blame, right? I want you to see that it isn't about those things. It's about you adopting a belief that you're enough. And it's about going, okay, for 5 seconds, I'm going to take on this superhero. I'm going to pull in all my power and all my energy. I'm going to align my energy centers. I'm going to feel that energy. And we've done in past episodes, right? The 3 power poses. I offer this in my 5-day breakthrough body challenge, which is really powerful, right? And you can get it now for less than $100. The value is almost $3,000 and it's over 90%, 97% off right now. You can find it on the website, but it's like, you are enough. And so let's just, for the sake of this exercise, adopt the belief that you're not enough, that things don't work out for you, that it's a struggle, that nothing ever goes your way. Why don't you just take that on for a second? Whew, I feel it again. I feel it in my throat. I feel like a pit in my stomach, right? Because I'm kinesthetically aware. Pay attention to how you perceive this question. Where does it show up for you? Is it in your body? Is it in your throat? Do you feel it outside of you? Right? Most of us do have a physical reaction to almost everything we hear. Not everybody, but most of us. Might be auditory, might be kinesthetic, might be sensory, might be, visual. So if you adopt the idea that you aren't enough, you're not good enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not successful enough, you're not smart enough, you're not man enough, you're not woman enough, whatever it is, just adopt that idea for a moment. You're not enough. Whew. And what's that going to look like in you trying to pursue your dreams? Right? Most likely, you're going to give up on your dreams. You're going to experience a ton of roadblocks. You're going to come across a ton of challenges, right? It's going to be quite difficult because what happens, you're like, oh, I'm not enough. So I'm going to expect this to not work out for me. I'm going to expect it to be hard. I'm going to expect there to be a fight, right? I'm going to expect people to take advantage of me. Whew, that's a lot of energy. Okay, so we're going to erase that. We're going to delete it out of our world. And now I want you to adopt the energy, adopt the possibility. Whew, take on the belief, the knowing, the felt sensation that every cell in your body, as you are right now, as your body is, as your business is, as your family life is, right? As your health is, you are enough. And then I want you to look at your dreams. If you're enough, do those dreams seem more possible? Do you have a different expectation? Do you trust yourself more? Abso-freaking-lutely. And this is the power of expectation, changing your vibration, changing what you believe, right? Because if you believe you're not enough and somebody like pokes at you, guess what? You're going to go, oh, they're right. But if you believe you are enough and somebody pokes at you, right? So years ago, I was in Hawaii working with a shaman I worked with for 8 years, and it was a really powerful experience. And on one of our retreats, I think it was one of my first retreats with him, and then I worked with him for a long time. I worked for him, I held space for him through ceremonies, through blindfolded rituals. He kind of showed me that I knew more about energy than I believed in myself. So he knew and expected that I was good enough. I wasn't expecting I was good enough, but he showed me the way, right? And it was a really powerful experience. And so in my first retreat with him, I was sitting around a circle with probably 25, 30 people from all walks of life, all around the world. And I was one of the youngest people. And in shamanic circles, they believe in sort of sitting from youngest to oldest around the circle. And, I had been complaining about my body because it was my avenue of validating and believing and expecting that I wasn't enough because I didn't like my body. Right. And yet I was the same size that I am right now. It's kind of crazy. It's absolutely insane when I look at it. And so in one of these shamanic circles in Hawaii, we're going around the circle and I was complaining about my body. And he said to me, he said, if I like said something to you about your face, you would just laugh at me. I'm like, yeah. Like he's like, so if I said you have an ugly face, you'd be like, "Pfft, whatever, I don't believe you. Right. And I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. He goes, but if I start talking about your thighs, and my whole body was like, don't talk about my thighs, right? Don't talk about my thighs, right? So my expectation was that my physical appearance with my face was something that no one could take away from me. No one could say, oh, you're so ugly. Your face is ugly. You're not pretty enough. I just didn't believe that, right? But I did believe that from the neck down, I was ugly. And so if someone were to sort of ridicule specifically my thighs, because that was the area of my body I judged most, I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Because I have this expectation that I'm not enough in that area. And so then guess what? I open myself up to judgments, to projections, to ridicule, to believing that other people are right instead of developing my own. So now when somebody says, oh, your thighs, I'm like, I don't care what you think, right? I finally have gotten myself to a place in my life and in my body and with who I am as a being that I trust myself more than anything else. Now, do I have bad days? Absolutely. Do I have days where I'm like, ah? But more often than not, I'm able to get myself out of that way quicker. No longer is it months or years of anxiety and depression and worry and fear. Now it's like an hour or a half of a day, right? And so, for all of you out there, may this be a reminder that if something isn't going your way, you have the power to change your expectation. And you can just change your expectation, it will start to work on you. But if you begin to change your root belief of being enough, that will do more for your future, more for your present moment, more for your physical body, more for your health, more for your relationships. And so this weekend, when I went 2 feet in, heart open, right, with my ex husband, right, we've been having this dance with our co parenting. And I was like, okay, 2 feet in, heart open. What if I give him the benefit of the doubt? What if I just stop fighting him? Right? And it was like, something drastically shifted. It shifted in my business. It shifted in my parenting. It shifted in my friendships. And so then may this be a reminder that perhaps what you need to change is your expectation of you. What if you expect you to be the superhero in your own life? What if you expect to do your best at showing up for you and working on believing in your dreams and living out every day as if it's your best day ever? And if it was your best day ever, what would you want that to look like? Right? A couple months ago this winter, I was with my best friend and we had our best day ever together. And she looked at me, she goes, "Do you remember last winter when we were scheming what our best day ever would be?" And it was like we'd go to yoga and then we'd go skiing and then we'd have lunch and toast to champagne and then we'd go dancing, right? And midway through our day, she's like, "Catherine, we're doing it. We're having our best day ever." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And so, to all of you out there, please don't give up on who you are. Please don't give up on your dreams. And don't give up on the energy that is inside of you, even if no one else can see it, even if no one else believes it. What matters is that you believe it. I tell my son all the time, he's like, "Mom, did I do a good job?" I said, "It doesn't matter what I think. What do you think?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Did you do your best?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, then that's all that matters." And he's like, "But what do you think?" I'm like, "It matters what you think." And I'm like, "And I think that you did an amazing job." But I will be honest with him, and he doesn't like me some days because I'm like, I give it to him straight. And I think the point is that sometimes we're not giving it to ourselves straight. We're lying to ourselves. And I got to see a pattern that I had been functioning from most of my life where I dance around if I think I'm going to make somebody uncomfortable. I don't do it in my business, right? But in my relationships, in my friendships, in my parenting with my ex-husband, I definitely dance around with my mom, right? I dance around and I'm like, what if I change that? And, I can't promise that I'm going to behave completely differently right away, but I can promise you that something in my world this weekend shifted because I went 2 feet in, heart open. Because what do we have to lose, my friends? If you opened your heart to you, if you put 2 feet into your business, into your health, into your relationships, where we get squirrely is because we're not being honest with ourselves. We're worried about getting sick, right? Instead of focusing on being healthy, instead of focusing on things working out for us. So, my invitation to every single one of you is to change your expectation of yourself. Expect brilliance, expect magic. Don't pay attention to what other people think of you. And when you expect brilliance and magic, guess what you get back? Acknowledgement, you get back, you know, like friendships that last a lifetime. You get back support from the universe. You get back energetic confirmation. You get back so many things. And so, to all of you out there trying to get it right, my invitation to you is, what if you just focus on being the best version of you can be every single day and expect of you the best, not from judgment, but from like, you know what? I'm just going to show up knowing that today, right now, as I am, it's enough. I'm enough. And if I function from that place, everything will work out. So, my magical friends, I want to thank you for joining me today. If this episode sparked something in you, send us an email, Catherine@CatherineMcIntosh.com. You can find us on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, and just don't give up on yourselves, right? Keep following for more ideas, more inspiration. If this inspired you, you can check out how you can work with me or join online workshop or class. And you can go to my website at CatherineMcIntosh.com. But in the meantime, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for your life. Expect the best. Do not give up on you. And you're welcome to all of you joining live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you'd like to share this episode, if you think someone else needs to hear this message, please feel free to share it anywhere you find it. Subscribe to the channel, and we can't wait to see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Catherine is not a medical practitioner nor a licensed therapist. She has strong opinions and will express them, and truly believes that you are your best advocate for any and every area of your life. If you need medical advice, please consult your physician.